Welcome to another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week, live from Taiwan, Sean. Joining us from the UK, Mr. Boxing Addict. Joining us from the Lou, BJ Bruce Towns, and joining us from the Midwest, the one and only Doodoo Brown. How you all doing?
What's going on?
Before we get the show started tonight, I want to go to you, D, aka Doodoo Brown. It's been a while since you was on the show. The last time you was on the show, you were supposed to have a procedure going for some surgery because of a bit of a medical scare. Give an update on how you're doing. How you doing right now?
Well, I'm doing really good. I'm 10 weeks post-op. I'm able to get out now and do a lot more activities than what I was. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm doing good. I'm healthy. Taking my vitamins. And watching my weight, man. I've been working on my weight. That's what they want me to do, get this weight off. He's like, get this fucking weight off, woman. So that's what I gotta do, man.
And just remind the folks of what the procedure was and what it was for.
Yeah, I had endometrial cancer, so I had to have my uterus taken out. All my female reproductive system, all that's gone. I have no boobies. I have nothing. All I have is a coochie, man. Freaking coochie. I ain't got nothing of a female. I'm like a walking, I don't even know. I'm like all woman. I don't know what's going on no more. But yeah, man, I had cancer, man. Friends of my family, my mom passed from it, my granddaddy passed from it, so it's been attacking me since I turned 40 years old. No, I've been fighting for 4 years now. Off and on 4 years.
Well, it's good to hear that you are doing good, and keep fighting, and thoughts and prayers out to you.
For sure, appreciate it.
All right. Before we get to the little homework matters out the way, where to find the Pound for Pound Boxing Report and all that, I want to make a bit of an announcement. For those who watched the YouTube show a couple of weeks ago, things got kind of heated, back and forth arguments between our guests. As a result of what went down last week, regular co-host Kent decided that he no longer wanted to be part of the show. I tried to reach out to him, but he really didn't change his mind. He basically abruptly made an announcement that he was no longer part of the Pound for Pound Box Report. Again, I reached out to him, but he hasn't changed his mind. The door is open, but apparently he doesn't want to be a part of it no more. Because of that, I've decided to move on without him. So there you go for those who want to know where Kent is tonight. He decided to abruptly leave, and for the time being will no longer be a part of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm not going to speak any ill will about him. I wish him the best, but it was his decision to move on, and since he decided to move on, I will move on. With that out the way, let's get this homework matters out the way. For those who want to find it, our motto of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is: when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. The bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find anything about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report all over social media, there are two main places you can go. You can go to the blog page. The link for that is p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. I'll repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. 2013 Black Web Blog Award winner and 2014 finalist for the Black Web Blog Award for the category of sports blog. I want to thank everybody who decided to vote for my blog for best sports blog. It didn't win this year, but again, thank everybody who decided to vote. On the blog page, you can find not only links to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast, but you can also find articles and videos and whatnot written by yours truly. You can also find, if you also want to find information on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, you can also go to the podcast page. The link for that is p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com, and repeat that, p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. On the podcast page, you can find all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast. I'm on the blog page and on the boxing page. Again, links to find us all over social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Google+, Twitter. The Twitter handle is at P4pboxingreport. On Tumblr, we got a Tumblr page. We got a Pinterest board, RSS feed in case you want to subscribe to that. We're on Stitcher Radio. Just go to Stitcher Radio and type in a box. Just do a search of boxing, or do a search of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. That's POUND, the number 4, POUND Boxing Report. And check us out on Stitcher Radio. And leave a review. Leave your thoughts of what you have on the show and what improvements can be made about the show. And also, we got a link to where you can donate your account. The link address for that is donateyouraccount.com/P4P Box Report. Let me repeat that, donateyouraccount.com/P4P Box Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Donate your Twitter account. And what happens is any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Box Report Twitter account, your Twitter account will automatically retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Box Report Twitter account. With all that out the way, I'm sorry I'm sounding a little bit nasally. I'm under the weather a little bit, fighting a bit of a cold. But let's get the show started doing a quick recap of boxing this past weekend. Card that took place in Chicago on Showtime, headlined by Andrzej Fonfara, who gave Adonis Stevenson a good scrap earlier this year. He was first in the ring, scoring a 10-round win over a fighter by the name of Ngombo. I'll go to you on this one, Sean, and anybody else can chime in. Fonfara winning by unanimous decision of 98-92, 97-93 on 2 scorecards. Solid win by Fonfara. Hurt Ngombo early with a couple of shots, particularly in round 5. Fonfara disclosed after the fight that he hurt his hand in that round. And that's why he really didn't go for the finish. But solid workmanlike performance by Fonfara. I'll go to you on this one, Sean, and you can follow up with your thoughts on Andrzej Fonfara and how he looked.
He got the victory, but I mean, I thought he really was exposed as being really a flat-footed, slow fighter. He was countered with right hands all day and hit really easy. The other guy, I mean, I don't know who knows him and what he's done before, but he looked pretty good. I mean, he's awkward, and the way he attacked was difficult, and he was landing left, right, and center. I thought he did well. Fonfara started to catch him with the jab and hit him with the straight right later on in the fight. But early on, I mean, like, he was doing very well. He sort of wore out later on in the fight, but I thought Fonfara just really shows that he's limited. And I don't know what his top of his echelon would be as far as that division.
I agree. He didn't look good at all. It made me question Stevenson a little bit, and I was kind of a Stevenson supporter, but he kept getting hit with like these looping shots, and he had no answer for it. I don't think he won as comfortably as a lot of people said he won. I mean, he did well, but he didn't look good at all, man. That fight was boring, and he kept getting hit with the same punches over and over and over.
I'm going to go to you, D, and then you can follow up Boxing Addict. Let's look at the future of Fonfara. Look, he fought Stevenson well earlier this year, scored a knockdown in round 9, I believe. Made a really competitive fight. I don't think Fonfara is amongst the top 5, top 7 light heavyweights in the world, but he has a base, Chicago base, and he makes for exciting fights. Your thoughts going forward about Fonfara and possibly landing another title fight? We know Hopkins and Kovalev is fighting. We know Stevenson is fighting later on. The prospects of Fonfara moving forward, D, and then you can follow up Boxing Addict.
Honestly, I didn't even really watch that fight. I think there was another fight going on that night or something, because I was going back and forth. But, I mean, the guy looked good. I mean, a couple rounds that I watched him, he looked really good. I mean, he gave Stevenson a hell of a time, especially in that 9th round. I mean, anything, the sky is open for him. He just needs that defining fight. He comes forward. He's aggressive. I like what I see, but I mean, I didn't watch his whole fight though.
Your thoughts on the future of Andrzej Fonfara, Boxing Addict? Boxing Addict, are you there? I guess he's not right there right now. So let's move on to a fight that took place on the undercard of that fight. Tomoki Kameda defending his WBO bantamweight belt against Hernandez. Kameda, as we all know, calls himself a Mexican fighter, even though he's Japanese. He's been living in Mexico for a while, fighting out of Mexico, training out of Mexico for a while. And he's soon to move his base to Las Vegas, by the way. He won though the scorecards were close, two in favor of Kameda, 115-113. The third scorecard was 115-113 for Hernandez. I personally thought that Kameda won by a wide margin, but even though he won to me by a more comfortable margin, I was a bit soured by his negative performance. He stayed away too much from Hernandez, particularly the last 3-4 rounds of the fight, and I thought he could have done more, particularly after his previous bout, which he scored a kind of spectacular KO. And I'll go to you on this one, Bruce. One, did you see the fight? And if you did, your thoughts on Kameda? You there, Bruce? So Bruce has left us for a moment. Your thoughts on the bout, Sean?
I agree with you. I thought he clearly won easily. I couldn't believe that the one judge gave the other guy the fight, because, I mean, the other guy didn't do anything. The reason it was negative is because the other guy didn't do anything. I mean, he was mostly just trying to survive. And I think that's why Kameda sort of just started to box later on, because he came out aggressive and he was throwing big punches. And I thought he felt that he just couldn't, the guy wouldn't open up, so he just couldn't land the punch that he needed to, like, finish him. So he figured he would just, like, outbox him, which he did. He showed that he's versatile. I mean, we know he can bomb dudes out, because we've seen that before. And then he showed that he's also good from the outside, just boxing, throwing combinations was really good. I mean, he was easily, like, landing his jab, going in, throwing 3-4 punches, moving out, moving around. That guy, I mean, I'd be curious to see what punch counts were, because, I mean, I don't know what that guy was landing. So, I mean, I thought, you know, it's a tough fight for him, because, of course, he wanted to have a big outcome in America to sell his brand. But he showed he's a good fighter, and sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes dudes are just veterans, like that guy was, and they're there to survive and not look bad and not embarrass themselves. So they do what they need to, and that's basically what happened. It'd be nice to see him in with a more lively opponent, somebody that was going for the victory.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up question, Sean. Koki Kameda, who's won titles in 3 divisions now, junior flyweight, and bantamweight. He recently moved down to junior bantamweight. He also fought on this card on a bout that wasn't televised, scoring a quick knockout. When you compare the Kameda brothers between Tomoki, Koki, and Daiko Kameda, to me, Tomoki is the best Kameda, even though Tomoki is the best Kameda in spite of the fact that his older brother Koki has won more titles. How would you compare the Kameda brothers between the 3? Who do you think is the best?
I've only seen Koki fight in that fight on the undercard, and I thought he looked pretty, you know, they're very similar, like facial-wise, haircut, you know, body type. Pretty similar, and I thought he looked impressive. I mean, because he bombed that guy out fast. So I would have to see a little more of him to really get a good idea, because, you know, you can see they're similar, even though the one guy, like, spent most of his career learning to fight in Mexico. So I'm not sure how much that's played. So it'll be interesting to see down the road when they have a few more fights in the States and a little more to judge from. But in this card, his brother looked better. I mean, Koki looked better. And I mean, it's interesting because they're in the same division now, and they're like 3rd and 4th.
Well, actually, Koki, he has moved down to 115 pounds, and he is the mandatory challenger for one of the champions down at 115. If I look it up right quick, he is the mandatory challenger for, I want to say, the WBA champion, Kono, at 115 pounds. So he's left with bantamweight right now.
I guess it makes more sense. They don't want to, like, have to meet up or something, fighting for championships.
I'm going to go to you, Boxing Addict, and you can follow up. Have any of you guys seen Tomoki Kameda? Did any of you guys see the fight? And if so, your impressions of him and his performance Saturday night?
I saw the fight, yeah.
He had blonde hair, right?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he looked okay to me. He's a good fighter, but this other guy wasn't really up to much. And he sort of got through it in the end. He's going to be fighting Jamie McDonald next, I think. If McDonald gets through his next fight, so that's going to be a really good fight, I think.
A unification battle, I believe, if I'm correct, right?
Say again?
Isn't that going to be a unification bout?
It is, yeah. So that should be a really, really tasty fight, actually. They're both pretty decent.
Your thoughts on Kameda ID?
I really don't watch a whole lot of bantamweights and lighter belt, but I watched him. I watched quite a few rounds more than I did Fonfara. And for an Asian guy, I thought he did really good to me. Him and that one guy, that other kid, I don't know his name because Lord knows I cannot pronounce it. He's working with Manny Pacquiao right now.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I forgot the guy's name. I'm sorry.
I can't think. He's working with Manny Pacquiao. They're one of the two guys that I really I've seen here lately. I really don't follow him, but I thought he looked good. I mean, those kind of guys, they really haven't had that fight. You can't really make a judgment on them. To me.
Yeah, I want to go back to you on Boxing Addict. You mentioned he was going to fight a unification bout. Kameda against the Englishman. Is it true that McDonald has already signed a deal for that bout? I guess Boxing Addict, he's not with us right now. But have you heard of anything about that, Sean? Is it true that McDonald has already signed a deal for that bout?
I'm not sure if anything's been signed, but I did hear that was the next fight that's happening, and they were mentioning that just I think on the card or just around there, whatever I was reading or listening to. So I think that's.
I'm back now.
Who fighting?
I am. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I think it's I keep plugging my headphones in, and then it takes the sound off. So I'll leave the headphones off. Yeah, McDonald and Kameda, I don't think it's signed, but they've pretty much had a handshake on it and all the terms have been agreed. So that fight's going to happen as long as McDonald wins his fight on the 29th, which he should, hopefully.
Yeah, get back with us, Bruce. We were talking about Tomoki Kameda in his fight with Hernandez on the undercard of Fonfara. Did you see the bout? And if so, any thoughts about
he didn't look
Kameda
good.
His performance?
I said he didn't look good either. He didn't impress me no more than Fonfara. He was getting hit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting hit. He just, when I was looking at highlights of the guy looked like a beast, and he didn't look like a beast in that fight at all.
Do you think the scorecards, which was kind of controversial to many, many thought he won by a wider margin? Do you think he won by a wider margin, or do you think this official scorecards was more in line to your view of the fight?
I think they had a split decision, and two of the cards had him up by a round or something like that.
Yeah, two scorecards had Kameda by 2 rounds, and the other guy had Hernandez by 2 rounds. So
yeah, I didn't see the other guy winning. I didn't see a situation to where the other guy could win the fight, but he didn't blow him out of the water, in my opinion. But yeah, it was close. I would have gave maybe a 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah, cool. Let's move on to get into some news stories of the week. Over the past couple of days, as Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., former champion middleweight, who's been in some who's had some contract squabbles with Bob Arum, earlier this week, signed a deal with Al Haymon. Let me look it up right quick. According to Dan Rayfield, Arum had issues with it, did not seem concerned about the move. When asked about it Monday night, as he told ESPN, to quote Arum, we expected this, but we're in court and dealing with it. Our position that he owes us one more fight, so give us one more fight. And then he's free, really free to do whatever he wants to do. Asked whether he will work with Haymon, Arum said, I'll deal with anyone for one fight. Of course, Top Rank has handled Chavez's career since 2003. There was a multi-million-dollar on the table for him to fight Gennady Golovkin. Earlier this year, a pay-per-view fight in July, I believe that was going to be at the Inglewood Forum. Since you're still here with us, Bruce, I'll go to you on this one, and then you can follow up, D. Your thoughts on Chavez signing with Al Haymon? Does it open up the door with him to more fights? And assuming that Arum says he has more fights, one more fight, how hard do you think he will fight to keep Chavez Jr.?
I think he'll let him go at this point. If he only has one more fight in his contract, I don't necessarily know what it means. I don't know what's going to happen with Chavez. I think I need to see how it plays out a little bit before I make a decision on how I feel about it or not. Right now, it just looked like he got Al Haymon. He's probably going to be fighting more of Golden Boy fighters. Probably going to set up maybe a big matchup, but you never know. They might set him up with some bums so he can knock them out and build his name up. I don't know exactly which way they're going to go with him. So,
see, I look at this, and if this deal goes through, he could fight any of the Durrell brothers. For instance, he could fight Asaki Obika for a decent amount, possibly a Froch. So I think with Arum, what other fight is there for him other than a possible Andre Ward fight? And that's not going to happen, I don't think. And I'll go to you on this one, D. Your thoughts on Chavez Jr. Signing with Al Haymon?
Yeah, just another way to Al Haymon to get another brother. Fight his own fighters, in-house fighters. That's what he does. He signs them to fight his in-house fighters so he can keep both pots. You know what I'm saying? Al Haymon's a smart motherfucker, man. But that's why he's firing all these people. And he's going to end up fighting, like you said, Durrell and all them guys. Watch, he's going to end up fighting all them in-house fighters. If he fights with Triple G, I would like to see him. I doubt it won't be no time soon. Al Haymon ain't stupid. Because Chavez do take punches. I mean, he loves getting. I mean, he bouncing punches off his head. That's his defense, literally. I like Chavez, but he just takes way too many punches. And I think he'll still keep working. I mean, you said what he sound like? Then he just hold up. Then he just turned down a $6 million deal with Jay-Z, RocNation.
No, that was Thurman.
That's Thurman. We're going to talk about that coming up.
Oh, okay. I'm getting shit confused. I'm like, hold up. Did he just turn down $6 million?
I'll go to you on this one, Boxing Addict, and you can follow Sean. Okay, you mentioned he could fight in-house fighters, but other than that, what does this deal, because we don't know the details, in your opinion, guys, what does this deal really mean for Chavez? I mean, he was making a lot of money fighting with Arum. He was getting main event fights on HBO. He was in line to fight Triple G on pay-per-view. That was going to be a big fight. He has a following, a massive following. To you guys, what does this deal really mean, signing with Haymon? You Boxing Addict, and then you can follow up, Sean.
Oh, well, Heyman's a bit of a mystery man, isn't he? You guys know a lot more about him in the States than I do, but it seems to me that he tends to sign up these fighters and then put them into sort of mediocre fights, keep them going, making money off them. He doesn't want to see them beat. I'm a bit disappointed myself, obviously being a big Froch man. I want to see Froch in there with Chavez. You know, that'd be a huge fight. And it looks like it might not happen now he's signed with Haymon, but I don't know if you guys have heard anything else. Why wouldn't he be fighting Froch? Is it because Haymon does put him in with people in with mediocre fighters? I don't know. Maybe you can answer that.
I have no idea.
I think what Haymon has been doing with lots of guys. I mean, he's been signing them so that he has people to put in with the fights, right? Like who was the guy that lost, Vasquez, who had the belt? He signed him first fight, put him in with his other fighter, then he ends up getting basically robbed or lost the decision. The other guy got the decision, the title. So I mean, I think he's basically just going to use him to build up his other fighters, which I don't see the point, because I mean, Chavez is limited, but he's a big name. So now it's going to be a big name that he uses to fight Andrade or other people. I mean, he's not going to get to 160. It's probably going to be 168, so whoever Haymon has at that weight. But with HBO, he had huge fights waiting for him. I mean, War, GGG, Froch, big fights. I don't see what big fight he's going to get with Haymon.
The news portion of the show is going to be revolving largely around Al Haymon. We've talked about Al Haymon, Sean and I, on a previous episode. Since I got some new guests, BJ, D, and Boxing Addict, what are your thoughts of Al Haymon and what he's doing, his role in the sport? How, as far as you guys are concerned, how good or bad is Al Haymon for boxing right now?
Well, in my opinion, I don't, as I say, I don't know too much about him. So all I've seen is really that everyone's signing with Al Haymon. So if that's a good thing, I don't know. I'll put that over to you guys. You guys have more knowledge on probably his fighters over there, to be honest.
I don't know because it's weird. Like, yeah, a couple bad cards have been put on by Al Haymon, or I guess Al Haymon way. There's been a lot of good fights put on too. So I don't know. I think want to figure out what the hell is his plan. Like we looking at it, we're trying to figure out like what's in his head, and I don't know. I can't speak for boxing. He's definitely not done anything wrong with the boxers because all of them keep signing with him. I don't know. No idea what.
That's what I thought.
That brand.
He ain't no Don King. He ain't no Don King because Don King was robbing everybody, and he ain't robbing nobody. Ain't nobody saying nothing bad about him. So it just he's like you said, he has put on some mediocre cards, but he has put on some good fights too, and he got everybody damn near in his stable. I don't know what he's gonna do with all these superstars. Eventually, they're gonna have to start fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? Like he's accumulating all these top fighters. What the fuck are we gonna do with him, man?
Shit, they already have. I think Maidana Al Haymon fight, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm telling you, he got everybody. The man doing something right.
And he fought Danny Garcia, so he's put on some good cards, or some of his guys fought each other. I don't know what his ultimate plan is right now. Like, I know the latest going on, but then you got Charles like Andre, so I don't like it's good and it's bad.
Your thoughts on, before we move on, let's sum this up. Your thoughts on Haymon signing the deal with NBC and him possibly, at least according to what you hear, possibly bringing boxing to network television. I mean, we're all old enough, particularly me, to remember when boxing was a staple on network television, ABC, CBS, NBC.
I remember.
Particularly in the 80s. I think that's one of the failures of boxing right now. There used to be a middle ground to the HBOs and the pay-per-view bouts. Anybody can chime in. Your thoughts on this deal with NBC? What do you think about that? Did you see a possible return through this deal to bring in boxing back on network television?
Obviously.
I think it's going to be. Go ahead.
This is like we were talking about last time, where we were sort of talking about how Showtime is sort of being stupid because they're like financing Haymon, but Haymon is sort of going to cut their throats, move to network TV, where, I mean, he's going to make tons of money because of endorsements and everything else. We saw the one fight that just happened recently that was on network TV. I can't remember who it was, but I mean, it was like 10 million viewers as opposed to pay-per-view where you're lucky to get like 400,000. So, I mean, even if the guys are signing initially for less money, I mean, their popularity and their exposure is so much greater that down the line it benefits him. If he in-house, then he keeps all the money in his pockets so he can, I mean, continue to do it. And apparently there's only so many fights he gets a year, but there's a clause where if they put on good fights and it sells, they can extend it so that he can get more and more fights.
We're old enough, D, to remember boxing on network television. Your thoughts on this deal with Al Haymon and NBC?
I think it's a good deal for boxing, man. It's gonna bring in a whole new audience. People that don't like boxing probably get them the chance to check it out. You know, storming through the channels. And I really think it's a good thing. I don't see Al Haymon putting on his superstars on NBC. Just guys that's been losing probably back to back or something. Get some, get back on new guys, get back on their feet. You know what I'm saying? So get some club fighters out there. I think it's a good thing for boxing. I really do. It's about time they put it back. You know, we got ESPN, we got Wednesday night fights, we got. Well, I remember we used to have Tuesday night fights. We got Friday night fights. Yeah, it's good for boxing.
And speaking of Thurman, this kind of speaking of Thurman, this kind of brings into our next news story. As a couple of days ago, Keith Thurman, it was announced that Keith Thurman had turned down a deal with RocNation. He was trying to sign him to a deal. Thurman, of course, signed with Al Haymon. According to Dan Rayfield, ESPN.com, it was a $6 million deal in total. Thurman would have got $2 million in advance against the total package, so he could have had a nice chunk of the money up front, followed by a fight night payout of $1 million, fight night payouts of $1 million, $1 million, and $2 million. Thurman initially thought the deal wasn't enough, and even had RocNation tweak the offer so the payouts would be $1.5 million, $1.5 million, and $1 million respectively for each of those 3 fights. Ultimately, Thurman turned the deal down. According to him, he said, for the most part, it's a move that I'm not willing to make. He told ESPN on Monday, he says, it's nice to throw dollar signs in front of a young guy like me, and I appreciate it. But I am a man of faith, and I believe that it's all coming to me in the future. As long as you have a 0 on your record, it's like holding a golden goose egg. I'll go to you on this one, BJ. You can follow up, Sean. On the surface, people will say, oh, he turned down $6 million offer. But when you break down the deal, it really is not $6 million since the $2 million initially was like a signing bonus. A lot of people will say Thurman was stupid to turn down the deal. I kind of beg to differ. I kind of agree with him that if he keeps winning, the money's going to be there eventually and soon. Your thoughts on Keith Thurman turning down this deal? Is he stupid? Am I stupid for thinking he has a point here?
He may have made a business decision because at what cost?
And let me add in, excuse me for interrupting. It could be a situation where Haymon is going to throw some money at him later down the line, re-sign him to a bigger deal.
That's one of the things, but here's the issue. Like, if he signed to RocNation, are they going to try to cut out Haymon, right? Or it's just like all those SMS fighters. All right, you sign to 50, but you have nobody to fight, and they're basically trying to push SMS out of the game. So you're just sitting over there riding. So it's like, do you want to piss off Al Haymon?
For those who don't know who SMS are, let them know.
Huh?
For those who are unfamiliar with SMS, let them know who they are.
That's 50 Cent. I don't even know. I think it was Street Music Sound, whatever the hell it is. That's 50 Cent promotional company, the company that basically almost killed Andre Durrell's career. So it's like at what cost? Okay, so I signed for the $6 million. I get $2 million to fight, but all the fighters that I want to fight, all the belts are pretty much with Haymon guys. You know, so what happens after I get done with this contract? Where do I go from here? You know, is this contract going to bury me when at least there's a light at the end of the tunnel on the Haymon side? I wouldn't have taken it if I was Keith Thurman.
And for me, where's the proven record for RocNation in boxing? I mean, they tried to sign Quillen. He balked at it. Behind the scene, it's been rumored that Quillen's going to get a bigger deal with Al Haymon, so you don't see the record there with RocNation. I might go to you on this one, Sean. Your thoughts on this deal? Turn it down the deal, I should say.
RocNation, unlike 50, I mean, they've been in sports. I mean, they've been owners. They have connections. You know, they have like stadiums to fill in. You know, they have those connections. But what they don't have is what you need as a fighter. Fights. I mean, you know, and $6 million, $2 million up front signing bonus, that's great. You know, maybe they should have pushed it up to like $4 million. Because, I mean, what you're going to sign a guy with is money up front, right? people want money in their pockets right now. But I mean, his fight now that he has against Bundu, he's making $1 million, his highest payday so far in his career. So being with Haymon, showing him that, you know, taking gradual steps, he's getting there. I mean, this fight's $1 million. He's fighting somebody nobody even knows who he is. I mean, of course, Boxing Addict knows, because I mean, he just beat a good British fighter last month or something. But you know, most fans don't really know who Bundu is. And then after that, I mean, we know that Haymon owns 147. Most of Thurman is going to get them, and obviously he's going to make big money. It only takes a couple fights to make $6 million if you have the right names underneath of you. And if you alienate yourself from Haymon in a division where all the fighters are Haymon fighters, you're not really going to benefit yourself too much. So in his case, I think he did the prudent thing. With Quillin, people were sort of comparing it, but Quillin gave up a title. You know, he gave up leverage to avoid his biggest payday, which was, you know, one payday. It wasn't like...
I think Al Haymon made him give up that leverage.
Well, exactly. Haymon made him, because apparently on Al Haymon's contract, he's the one that has final say. So he can reject everything. You can't say anything, or else he can sue you. So, you know, I mean, with Quillin, I don't know what he's doing, because he still doesn't have a fight down the road. But with Thurman, it makes sense. I can see his point of view. He's not even a champion at this point. In his next fight, he's making $1 million, and he hasn't even beat a top 10 guy at 147. And if he beats this guy, he still hasn't beat a top 10 guy.
The Boxing Addict, your thoughts, because I agree with kind of Bruce and Sean here. While the number may look lossy, if you think long term, he can make just as much money fighting eventually fighting a Kell Brook, fighting an Alexander. Should Alexander beat Khan in December? There are other opportunities. Eventual shot against Mayweather. There are other possibilities where he could make money where he's at.
I think that's the case. He's had a look at the contract and he's thought, you know what? After this fight, I could probably make $6 million in 2 fights against the right people, you know. And he'll get those fights. He'll get those fights if he gets.
That's right.
But like
Thurman got star potential.
Sean said, Thurman's still unproven. I personally think he's the real deal. Actually, I think he's pretty good. But he's still got to beat the top guys, and he hasn't yet. So we'll see. It's a very brave decision of him.
Yeah, because I know he's getting beat up in particularly on social media about him turning down this deal. But for me, I'm like, listen, if you really think about it, it was a smart move, D.
Yeah, man. Yes, it's a smart move to turn down that $6 million. It sure is, because he's on the cusp, and this guy ain't even fought nobody. He got people's imagination just going, wow. They got him out here like, you know, he gonna be the next motherfucker Mayweather or something. He keep knocking motherfuckers out, you know what I'm saying? He got that potential. We haven't seen it. He needs that defining fight where it, you know, pulls him in the pay-per-view and guy making buku money. And he got as long as he keeps winning, knocking people out, the dude can do it, man. I mean, he's young, he's hungry, he's thirsty. You know what I'm saying? He's aggressive. He wants to knock your head off. I like it.
And here's the thing, quiet as kept.
I hope he makes all the money he wants.
And here's the thing, quiet as kept. And I think you can speak on this, Bruce. You may know about this. Thurman, people say Thurman hasn't fought anybody, but there are fighters out there who have turned Thurman down, particularly Maidana. Maidana had the opportunity to fight Thurman. He turned him down. There are other fighters who had the opportunity to fight Thurman, and they have turned him down. So it's not necessarily all on him.
No, it's not. But that's what I'm saying. That's what makes turning down that deal makes so much sense now. Because, all right, look at who you haven't fought, and you're still making this type of money.
Right.
You're still in this position. I was going to make a video to combat some of Keith Thurman fans. And I pulled up about 4 or 5 welterweights who are like 20-0, 22-0, and none of these guys have half the popularity that Keith Thurman has. You know, people are trying to throw him in there with Mayweather. You don't hear that shit from Brad Solomon and the dude Zuski or whatever from Canada. He's in the best position he can be in for what he's done, so in my opinion. And why would you fuck that up for $6 million when you may never make any money after that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move on and talk.
If he came up with more money, well, he couldn't turn it down. I think, Jay-Z them got money. I would have kicked him more than $6 million. That's like slave money. So this guy can make that in a fight. You know what I'm saying?
Think about this. He's connected to the machine. He's not getting certain fights. Imagine what happens once he disconnects from the machine.
Yeah.
You already not getting the Guerreros, the Maidanas, the Mayweather, which.
And that's the other guy. That was the other guy I was mentioning. He wanted a fight with Robert Guerrero, but from what I'm understanding, from what I'm hearing, Guerrero doesn't want that fight.
Guerrero's turned down a lot of fights, though. Guerrero's turned down everybody.
Guerrero is dog meat. He is dog meat. That motherfucker ain't nobody no more.
What was you going to say, Sean? Oh, I've said that a long time ago. That's why when people thought he was going to get with a halfway decent shot. No. He was slow and robotic, going back to his featherweight days, and he got one win at welterweight. I forgot who it was against. Even before Berto.
Oh, yeah, the slow-footed, hard-punching European guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celtic Iden.
Yes, Celtic Iden, and then he fought a Berto who everybody's faced is long past his prime. He's not the fighter he was, not even close. He should think about retiring, and then people use that.
Was Berto ever a fighter?
He was always a bit overrated, and people
He never beat anybody
to think highly of Robert Guerrero, and no. So I think that some of them, I think we all agree here. Even though the number may look glossy, one, we don't know what RocNation, what's their plan for boxing because they hadn't signed anybody, and two, Thurman, he can make just as much money where he's at because the fights are available for him. Now, let's move on. Get to the preview part and talk about the fight I've been talking about for months. As far as I'm concerned, from a hardcore fan's perspective, quote unquote hardcore fan's perspective, this may be our most intriguing match of the year. That is a unification bout light heavyweight between WBA, IBF, light heavyweight champion Bernard Hopkins, the Alien now as he calls himself, and the Crusher versus the Crusher, Sergey Kovalev. This fight takes place Saturday in Atlantic City. A lot of hype, a lot of talk been talked about on social media and here on YouTube since we're doing the show live on YouTube right now. I'll go to you on this one, D, since you are guest tonight, and now go to Bruce and Boxing Out, and y'all can follow up. Your thoughts on this bout, and your assessment of the pre-fight press conferences and whatnot leading into the bout.
Oh, they're pretty tame. This is, Hopkins philosophy. I'm calling him Mr. Philosopher. he old grandfather clock. You know what I'm saying? I like the way he come at Sergey. Like he always because everybody keeps talking about his age, how old he is, and I like how he flips it on everybody about how good he is and all he's crafty and all that. But that man has been off more he could shoot. I've been saying it before this fight was even made. When they first started talking about the Crusher fighting Hopkins, I'm like, no. I love Hopkins, man, but this fight he should not have taken. I'm telling y'all, he should not have taken this fight. That guy got too many attributes for Hopkins to overcome. I'm sorry. If he wins, I'm kissing everybody. I'm getting on my knees. He's the best ever in the whole wide world. But I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry. That's just period. I don't see Hopkins beating this guy.
I'm going to you, Bruce. I have a different take on this. When I look at Hopkins, let's face it, he picks his opponents. He doesn't fight somebody unless he sees something. And I think that he sees something in Kovalev, who, as good as he is, as dominant as he's looked, we still don't know what he is fully about. Also, when you look at Hopkins, I think the issue of psychological warfare, because I've asked about this in the past, including the last show, I think you can never underestimate the issue of psychological warfare and how that plays before the fight and how that plays during the fight. Your thoughts about?
He don't understand half the shit he's saying. He don't care about that.
But Hopkins still, he can does he
Kovalev
does.
don't care what Hopkins said.
But in spite of that, Hopkins. See, first of all, Kovalev knows not more English than he lets on. That's number one. I'll go to you on this one, Bruce. And number two, Hopkins is not just what he says, but what he does beyond the words. Your assessment of the build up to this bout. What do you think are the keys for Hopkins and Kovalev for either fighter?
I think Kovalev, the key is to keep his distance. Keep Hopkins on the end of his punches. Don't let Hopkins crowd him. Hopkins is a much better inside fighter. Don't give in to Hopkins' dirty tactics and try to knock his head off.
That's interesting. Excuse me for interrupting, but a lot of folks from Wild Raid said that Kovalev should go after Hopkins. Don't give him any space. But you kind of thinking the opposite here.
Hopkins is a way better inside fighter than Kovalev. He was pumping the shit out of Kovalev and hit and grab and all the rest of that shit and hit. That is Kovalev does not get to inside fight. I'm going to say something very controversial. I've said this the moment this fight was announced. I have Hopkins stop.
You got what?
I have Hopkins by KO.
Who?
10th, 11th round.
Hopkins. You said Hopkins going to stop him.
No,
I have him stopping him. I've watched a lot of shit on Kovalev, man. He cannot be
you have Hopkins stopping Kovalev in the 10th, 11th round? Welcome back. Hopkins lucky if he make it to the 5th or 6th round. He's lucky.
Ain't no made it.
That found the most. Shit.
About half the man Hopkins is.
Shit. Kovalev been put that pressure. He a young man. He put pressure that old motherfucker. Ain't too much shit he can do. He can box. He can try to box Kovalev all night. He can try to clinch it. They've been studying Hopkins. Trust me, baby. They've been watching this man for years. They ain't new on thing.
You can study all you want to. You don't.
But you're talking about a master here, dude. D. I don't care if he is 50 years old. He's not your average 50-year-old guy. He's a master in there.
I don't want to do this because I don't like.
Ain't fighting no guy that's in just like a top. He fighting a top 5 fighter, man. He fighting a champion. This guy ain't finna go that easy, y'all. I'm sorry.
It don't matter.
I see him switching it up, changing styles on him and everything. And we'll see, because he's bigger, he's stronger. He can box, he can brawl. I'm telling you, I see it in COVID. There's something about this guy. I know I say it every time against Hopkins, but Hopkins gonna lose this fight, man. I'm telling you.
Let me bring boxing guy into this. Your thoughts on this bout? What are your keys?
Yeah, I keep flitting back and forth. I can see both of you guys' point of view, actually. Hopkins is a master. He's one of these guys, isn't he? He's like an institution now. You know what I mean? He's been hated for a lot of his career for being boring and this and that. And now he's the fucking alien. And everyone loves him, you know. And I do, actually. I enjoy watching his fights now. And I think Hopkins could well win a split decision. Kovalev looks like an absolute beast, there's no doubt, but I think what you think as well, Michael, that Hopkins has seen something in him. He's seen something in Kovalev that he can exploit. Otherwise, I mean, he's an absolute madman choosing to pick him. You know?
I think it's the body punching. Call me crazy here, but you mentioned the inside fighting ability of Hopkins. Bruce, I think that Kovalev is a bit weak in the gut here.
Extremely weak.
I don't think he's that great of an inside fighter, and I think he can be hurt up the gut. I really do, and I think Hopkins, I think, will find a way to exploit that aspect of Kovalev.
I think he just sees an inexperienced fighter that he can exploit. But I'm telling you, he bit off more than he can chew. And this cat gonna catch his ass in one of them corners, and he gonna come out there acting like he broke shoulder, he hit him, broke a leg or something. Watch, he gonna find a way to get out that damn fight.
Let's bring Sean into this because I know Sean, he's a big Kovalev fan.
Hey, I'm a big Hopkins fan, but I mean, I think it's good for boxing to have new people move in. And at this stage, I mean, Hopkins he's pushing for his legacy, and he's done good. I mean, he's reinvented himself, and prior to the Pascal fight, it looked like his career was done. And then he's picked and chosen his fighters and guys that don't throw a lot of punches, give him lots of rest, guys that are limited, but they were in the top 10, and some of them had belts, and he was smart. And I see that what you're saying, he's picking Kovalev for the same reason, because comparing him to Stevens, he thinks that Kovalev has something that he can exploit. But I agree with her. I think that he's going to be surprised that what he thinks he can exploit, now that he's 50, isn't what he could have exploited before. And he's going to be the one that ends up getting stopped by a body shot, probably mid-fight.
Bit of controversy sparked up a couple of days ago when Hopkins talked about his legacy. And in an interview, he said that the reason he doesn't get the lack of coverage on his part and the credit he deserves has something to do with the fact that he's black, with race. We know that, look, boxing tries its best to be kind of neutral in that regard, but we also know that racism, hierarchy, privilege, if you will, it happens even in this sport from the way certain fights are covered historically, on the manager's side, and whatnot. I'll go to you on this one, Bruce and D, and then you guys can follow up on Boxing Addict and Sean. When you look at Hopkins and what he said, and I'm going to try to go up here and say and read what exactly he said. Okay, here it is. I'm an exclusive interview with ESPN. Hopkins was actually the reason his record-setting run in recent years hasn't transcended the sport. According to Hopkins, quoting, "It's because I'm black. Before the start of this media workout in the gym, what do you do? What do you think if my name was Augustine, Herzenstein, Stern, Capello, Marciano? Don't you guys understand the conflict of interest? If I was any of those names on any other background, I'd be on every billboard and every milk carton and every place to be. If you're talking the American dream, here's a guy that's almost threw his life away. He took this country's great attributes and used it. Do for self, work hard, and be a law-abiding citizen. I've done that for 26 years. He went on to further say, if you really look at it, I've done the American dream. That people have died on boats to come here and live, he said. I have done all that, and then we look back and say, wait a minute, what's wrong here? A lot of people are not bold enough to say it, but I am. Your thoughts on what Hopkins said, D, Bruce, does he have any point here?
I'll tell you what somebody told me. Well, I was watching something. They was talking about discrimination. They say you can't prove it because if someone discriminated against you because of race, it's 1,000 other different things that they could name, to why maybe they discriminated against you. What Hopkins is basically saying is, if I was some old 50-year-old white guy, would you turn on the Jimmy Kimmels and everything else, and they're having me on there like, look, this 50-year-old boxer who's going up for a title fight. And I think, in a sense, maybe, or is it that they're disinterested in Hopkins because of race, or are they disinterested in him because he's a boxer? It's hard to prove. He may have a point, but he's never going to have any evidence to back that up, unfortunately.
Look,
but in my opinion, if there was some other, I don't know, man. If he was somebody else, I think it would have been possible. I don't know if it's...
Look, as Americans, we pick and choose who we follow, who we adore. Okay, the guy got a great record. But look at him. He's not charismatic. He's a philosopher. You know what I mean? He's not somebody you can just warm up to. He don't understand that. Look, Bernard Hopkins is an attention whore. He's an attention whore. He feels like he should get the same reviews as fucking Mayweather or some shit like that because he didn't doing this. He's an ego buff. I mean, all he talk about is stuff. Look, guy, we know you got a great record, but you still haven't had. This is his defining fight. Look, If he beats this guy decisively, and he beats this guy, I would never, ever, ever, ever like say anything bad about fucking Bernard Hopkins. You understand what I'm saying? He deserves everything if he can back this shit up. But for right now, bro, man, I mean, he's an attention whore, man. You just listen to him. I listen to him. I listen to all his interviews all day. It's all about him. Why ain't nobody like my record? Why am I not? It's a race car thing. It's that. No, dude, you're not charismatic. You know what I'm saying? You try to crack jokes and shit ain't even funny. Shut the dude out. Half the time you don't even understand what he's saying.
Okay,
but you mentioned Mayweather, D. So is Mayweather. He's just as much of an attention whore. And when you really look at it,
yeah, but we like watching this motherfucker though. We like watching Floyd. He's a train wreck. We like watching him. But Bernard has not got that trash. He's not got that personality, outgoing personality. You understand
but that's what he's talking about when he says a conflict of interest. Floyd and people like Floyd.
We like as Americans, we pick and choose who we adore. We can't help it. I don't care how good you are. There's reasons why everybody don't want to.
All are idiots, and it's easy to glorify that lifestyle. People throwing away money and showing you all this flashy stuff, than to show this 50-year-old, husband this quest to become.
Changed his life. I said everything good about it. I'm just saying he's missing something that Americans are not warming up to him.
But
like I said, we didn't put him in no pedestal. You know what I'm saying? But let him be this motherfucker, and he'll be on that pedestal. Everybody gonna be talking about it.
Okay, this turns into a kind of a black on black debate. Let's bring the white guys into this. You're also the Shawty boxing at it.
Hey, I agree with D. I think it comes down to personality. When have you ever seen Hopkins reveal any truth about himself? You said, Bruce, that he's married. Really? I've never seen his wife. I don't even know he has a wife. I don't even know he has a wife. Because he doesn't show anything like that. He just shows this angry man who was never happy, even as a middleweight, that he wasn't getting the fights he deserved. He got big fights.
Right, and another Larry Holmes and shit.
And Roy Jones went very high. He became the #1 fighter in boxing because he had personality and style and something you could market and sell. Bernard's always been angry, anti-establishment, always anti-white, anti-Puerto Rican.
Muslim shit.
This kind of stuff doesn't sell to mainstream marketing. And when you said Marciano, that's true. If he was white, he would probably be pushed up as a 50-year-old guy trying to overcome dreams, like Jeremy Lin, the Chinese guy making it big in the NBA. But
that's just America. That's what we know. He'd be the great white hope. If he was a white dude, he'd be the great white hope. Come on.
Yeah. But there's more to it than that. Hopkins can sell himself better, and he should know that because he is 50, and he sees what sells. He's tried to reinvent himself as the alien. He's become more exciting.
You said, let me interrupt. You said anti-white. What are you referring to? Are you referring to those comments about Kazaga years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
I'll never let a white guy beat me.
Yeah.
They're really anti-white.
But when you say that, that's what you play out to the mainstream, right? Because mainstream people, they don't know you and your background. They just hear this blib sound sort of thing.
Angry black guy.
All over the media. And that's
that's bad. In hindsight, it sounds like Floyd don't fight back black fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still interjecting race into something that really doesn't need to be in there. But I get what you're saying. That's not necessarily, it's racial, but that's not like racist.
But he's the one that brings it in. So it's fair to comment on because he's the one that always uses that as an excuse. It's only about race. He doesn't look at anything else. He doesn't take any ownership for the fact that he's not marketable. Many great athletes have not been marketable and they haven't made money like they could have compared to somebody that wasn't. Tebow. Okay, maybe he's bad because he is the great white hope. But he was marketable even after he was proven that he couldn't do it in the NFL. There's always these guys that can market themselves, and
that's why I push back against. I'm glad you bring it up because that is an example because you said pick and choose. Just because America picks and choose someone doesn't necessarily make it fair. Doesn't necessarily make it just. And Tebow is just exactly the case because.
But that's marketing. That's the whole point of America and consumerism. You buy what you want. You don't buy what you don't want, and it's all about how it's packaged. Not based on.
Gotta be appealing. He's not appealing to nobody.
That's marketed.
Don't walk around.
That's indicative of your country. So, I mean, you can't criticize it because that's what your country is pushing.
I guess in general, I kind of disagree with Hopkins, but he does have some point because the issue of picking and choosing is all based on different factors, not necessarily fair, not necessarily based on merit. I think it's a bad example to bring up Mayweather because if you want to mention Hopkins as an attention whore, Mayweather is just as much of an attention whore.
He wants to be on that level, though. I'm not comparing it. What I'm saying is he wants that attention. He wants to be on that Mayweather attention level type shit. And Hopkins would never be there unless he beats Kovalev. He has to beat this guy. If he knocks this guy out, trust me, he beats TBE forever. For real.
He's a millionaire. Rich. He's filthy rich.
He's rich.
Hopkins got to pick one side, right? Either you're gonna be this golden boy type person, or you're just gonna be this complete and utter asshole. But
you can't be both. You can't be both. And with Mayweather, he chose to be the asshole. He's used it to be the richest athlete in the world.
And it's hard to straddle that line because I think Sean does have a point in that case. Like, who the fuck are you? I don't even know who you are. It's like people, they don't have any emotions towards Hopkins. They don't know whether to like him, to love him, to hate him. I mean,
exactly.
Even out there, outside of boxing,
he's not warming. He's not. You cannot warm up to this guy. Anybody outside of boxing, you cannot. You're like, who is this guy? You can't warm up to this guy. You know what I'm saying?
But even comparing him to Roy Jones he only reached so far when you compare it to folks like De La Hoya.
But he was huge. What do you mean?
Well, girl, say Roy was the shit. I cried like a baby when he got knocked out.
Roy was supported by Nike. He was like a face of a brand.
Okay.
But when you look at the money that Roy made outside the ring and compare it to what De La Hoya made outside the ring and in the ring, it's not even close.
Well,
it ain't got nothing to do. You mixing the thing here, baby. It ain't got nothing to do with money. It's about legacy.
And as well as popularity and attention he got from the media. How many times did you see Roy Jones go on a Leno or a Letterman or a primetime network show in comparison to De La Hoya?
Well, then you look at Manny. Manny's number one.
Let's bring boxing down again.
De La Hoya had the look. He had the look, the smile.
That's kind of
I know a whole lot of sisters who love themselves some Roy Jones, so.
Oh yeah, they did.
No, I'm just saying.
I was watching a Roy Jones fight. My mom was like, "Who is that?"
You can't compare him to De La Hoya because he was on a whole different path, a whole different lane. He's in his own lane. The dude was fine.
Yeah, I was watching Roy Jones. Women love Roy Jones.
Your thoughts on this boxing addict because you hadn't said anything yet.
Yeah, Hopkins has always been like a kind of revolutionary within boxing, hasn't he? And he's not very marketable because of that. I think the media look at him and think, what's he going to say next? Is he going to offend some white people or the establishment or whatever it is? And that's always hindered him, really. But I also think there's another thing there, which is particularly being in Britain, I see it, where Americans want to chase this, this dream of being rich and being winners, whereas in Britain we like losers. We have to get used to that quite a lot, but we actually like losers. If somebody's up there and they're doing well, we tend to dislike them and want them to get shot down, and then as soon as they're shot down, we like them. And I think that's kind of what's happening with Hopkins. He was this kind of boring fighter who was just winning and winning and winning. And then he became older, and the odds are against him a little bit, and now he's quite liked, but he'll never reach the stage of a Mayweather.
He defies odds. He's an old dude fighting like a young cat, but that doesn't make him, on that Mayweather attention. Like, you know what I'm saying? He will never be there.
No, it won't. And, Mayweather's far clear of just about everybody else, isn't he?
Mayweather's record's not even good as his. His record's way better than Mayweather's. He fought better fighters, but that's just how it is.
Yeah. But the racial thing, you know, I think that's just Hopkins speaking his mind, and you know,
Yeah.
I've got no
I
problem.
think that's just a little bit.
I mean, in Britain, I think we're a little bit more sort of, I don't know if it's tolerant or multicultural or what, but I think you guys have a lot more racial issues over there which come into play quite a bit, you know. We've got a guy in England at the moment, Anthony Joshua, who is going to be, you know, and you can look back on this video in a couple of years' time. He is going to be the biggest thing in boxing in a couple of years' time. And he's a black guy, and he's already loved by a whole nation because he's humble, he knows how to play the media, he's a good-looking guy, and he's going to be seriously up there as a massive sports star across the world. And Hopkins was never like that. He never really had the opportunity to be that, you know?
Let's sum this up by, well, first of all, any other comments before I ask for your official predictions on the fight?
Nah.
B, Sean?
No, I'm looking forward to Saturday, man. I'm just looking forward to the fight. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't want nobody to think I don't like Hopkins. I like Hopkins. And just go fight. You know, you gotta take fight by fight, size by fight, attributes by attributes. And I pick Kovalev, man. I just don't see the man winning. And I'm saying, if he wins, God bless him. He's gonna be the best ever. He will go down in history. I hope he gets the fame and media he so deserves.
Okay, your prediction is Kovalev by decision, KO, what? D.
Well, I believe Kovalev will stop him, man. I believe he'll stop him. I think he's just way too much for him. Too strong. BJ? I don't know what round. I don't know, but I just know Kovalev's gonna stop him.
Late round stoppage.
Boxing at it.
Hopkins by a disgraceful split decision.
Sean?
I got Kovalev mid-round body shot stoppage.
And I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with Hopkins by decision. The fight may be boring because Hopkins is going to try to make it boring. But a lot of folks are going to pick Kovalev, but I'm going to go with the old man here to pull it out the hat one more time. And I think on that note, I think we're going to shut the show down. But before we end the show, I'm going to go to my guest here. I think Sean had to leave for a sec. He had to leave. He had to be out early. He's a teacher for those who don't know, so he got class and stuff. So I'll go to you, D, and then everybody else can follow in. Let the folks know, D, if they want to talk boxing or anything else, which let the folks know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube under Doodoo Brown, Barbie Boxing Forum on Facebook. I'm on it every day, all day. And come holler at me, man. I'm always putting up some kind of video up or something. I love boxing. I love chopping up with you.
And now she's up there cooking. I think she's trying to battle Aunt Fee for the cooking contest on YouTube.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to fucking record next.
Bruce, let the folks know where they can find you if they want to talk boxing or anything else.
Bruce Towns on YouTube. You can find me at the same Bruce Towns on Google Plus. That's about it.
Boxing Addict. Let the folks know where they can find you if they want to talk boxing or anything else.
Yeah, you can get me on YouTube, Mr. Boxing Addict. I don't really do any of the others. I'm not on Twitter or anything like that. But you know, I like to come on and chat boxing now and again, so you can get me there. Let me just say congratulations to Doodoo as well. I heard the story earlier about the cancer, so well done.
Thank you.
And also one last thing, actually. I wasn't here last week, but I saw the video with Kent and what happened. I just wanted to say, you know, I thought Ken was a good guy actually, and you know, I used to enjoy listening to him quite a lot. So hopefully he'll come back one day.
Hey, I've made my peace about that. I've said what I had to say about that. You know, and I will move on. No comments about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to listen to it. Y'all must have got into it.
Yeah, it got kind of heavy, and you know, things went unfortunate from then on. If you want to talk boxing otherwise to me, y'all know what it is. At Brother JR on Twitter. If you want to know anything about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, that's POUND, the number 4, POUND Boxing Report. The Twitter handle is at P4P Boxing Report. You can go to the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. Also go to the podcast page, p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. On the blog page, you can find not only past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast, but you can find articles and videos and whatnot written by yours truly. Podcast page, you can find all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast. On the podcast page and the blog page, you can find links. It will provide links to where to find us all over social media, on Facebook, Google+, Tumblr, Twitter, YouTube, Podomatic. We got a Pinterest board, the RSS feed if you want to subscribe to that and check out the show that way. Stitcher Radio, yes, we are on Stitcher Radio, as well as the link to donate your account. The link for that is donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. We'll repeat that, donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Donate your Twitter account to that, and any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter handle will automatically retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. On the next episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, we will do a recap of Kovalev versus Hopkins, Hopkins versus Kovalev, and we will also do a preview of Vladimir Klitschko, as he's going to be defending his heavyweight title. As well as we're going to do some discussion about a guy who I think is a rising force in the super middleweight division, Gilberto Ramirez from Mexico, tall, angular, 6'2" southpaw from Mexico. I think highly of it. He's going to be fighting also that weekend. So I want to thank special guest Sean, who joined us live from Taiwan. He had to check out early. Thank the one and only Doodoo Brown joined us from the Midwest.
Right on. Indiana, baby, Indiana.
I want to thank Bruce Towns from joining us all the way from the Lou. And thank Mr. Boxing Ghana for joining us all the way live from the UK. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Thank you guys again for joining me this week. We will see you next time. You guys have a good evening, good night.
And peace.
Peace.